The Victorian government has just announced this evening that part of regional Victoria will be locked down for 7 days. The Latrobe Valley in the state's east will go into lockdown after an illegal gathering on the weekend. It's been blamed for a spike of COVID cases in the area. There are now 18 active cases across several households in Traralgon, Moe and Morwell. Exposure sites include a shopping centre, a mechanic and various shops. A rapid testing clinic has been set up at the Traralgon Sports Stadium. The lockdown will begin at midnight tonight. And the rest of Victoria is just hours away from another slight easing of restrictions. But for the first time during this outbreak, the state has recorded more new COVID cases than New South Wales. Sadly, Victoria has recorded 4 more COVID deaths from this Delta outbreak. There were also 867 new cases in a 24-hour period. But the number of new cases over the last few days is higher than previously thought. Authorities say 149 new cases from the past 2 days were not counted. So the active case number is now more than 9,200. And there are calls for the gap between doses to change so more Victorians can be fully vaccinated sooner, paving the way for greater freedom. State political reporter Richard Willingham has the latest.
The sprint to the city was harder today after a small group of truck drivers created havoc on the Tullamarine freeway. 16 people were fined for the protest and condemned by their own industry.
Keep wiggling, you're done.
In Thornbury, hundreds more joined a bigger race that needs to speed up. This pop-up clinic at the Islamic Museum hopes to boost vax rates in Melbourne's north, where half of today's cases were detected.
Feels like, we've done our bit for the community. We're really looking forward to getting back to normality.
The finish line for the Vax Dash could be reached sooner if Victoria halves the wait time for the second Pfizer shot to 3 weeks.
Well, we're certainly looking at that, and if we can reduce that dose interval, then that'll mean we get more people through the gateway, that second dose gateway, and that may give us more options, and it may see us bring forward some of the timelines.
There's enough supply for every person in Victoria, 100% of people 12 and up, to be double vaccinated before the end of October.
Today was the first time Victoria recorded more cases than New South Wales. There were 4 deaths here, but 7 north of the border. Both states' health systems are feeling the pinch. Last night, ambulance ramping at the Northern Hospital was dire, with high demand and COVID screening slowing entry. And that's before Victoria opens up.
The system is under stress, and that stress will continue to grow.
By tonight, nearly 80% of Victorians over 16 will have had at least 1 dose. 37% of 12 to 15-year-olds have also had their first jab. Tomorrow, outdoor restrictions will ease slightly to allow golf, tennis and basketball, but the state remains under pressure to be more generous when we hit double dose targets, especially for hospitality. At 70%, only outdoor dining will be allowed. The industry wants people inside sooner.
It doesn't work in Chinatown because the footpath, the street is too small. We cannot set up dining outside.
We should have a roadmap in front of us that matches other states that says it's about time we got our lives back. It's about time that we got hope back. It's about time that we lived with coronavirus.
There are 375 people in hospital, 81 in intensive care. That's the bottom end of the Burnet Institute's modelling, perhaps a sign that the marathon to COVID normal is entering its final laps. Richard Willingham, ABC News, Melbourne.
WA police are investigating whether a Melbourne man who may have been at the AFL Grand Final on Saturday is in breach of a COVID-19 quarantine direction. Police say he and a friend arrived in the state via Darwin and they suspect the pair used false information. Video and photographs appear to show 49-year-old Melbourne man Hayden Burbank in the rooms with the Melbourne Demons following their grand final win at Perth Stadium on Saturday. This morning, police issued an appeal seeking the whereabouts of 2 men, including 39-year-old Mark Babbage. The pair was taken into custody, but they're yet to be charged. It's understood they were tested for COVID-19. The federal government has rejected findings from the Disability Royal Commission that the vaccine rollout failed Australians living with a disability. A draft report from the inquiry found the Health Department deprioritised the vaccination of people living in residential disability accommodation, putting at risk some of the most vulnerable people. Resources were instead diverted to the aged care sector in the early stages of the rollout. The Federal Health Secretary says the vaccination rates of people living with a disability disability are still higher than the broader Australian population.
The reason why we did not stop doing residential in-reach disability, but we did focus most of the efforts of our contracted in-reach providers on residential aged care on the clear medical advice that these were a significantly higher risk.
The Royal Commission found the Health Department's actions were made worse by a lack of communication with the disability sector.